Live. Alright, so we're live. I've decided to do a bit of a, been drinking a bit, decided to do a bit of a VOD breakdown of some of my games that I uploaded onto YouTube. Because, I mean, I don't think that me not talking through it, it's not going to be very helpful through people, because, I mean, though they can see what my plays are, maybe my logic when I go through this doesn't quite make much sense when I do it, because a lot of people have very different plays. So maybe I'll speed this up a bit, and we're going to quickly go through some of these games. This one is a 1 versus the red deck wins deck. Everyone sort of gets confused between the decks. So this hand already looks like a very good hand, right? We have 2 lands, which is probably the most we really want in our opening hand. We have 5 damage between these 2 cards. I like to look at Light Up the Stage as 4 damage each in my opening hand. I don't know what the actual math is. Maybe they're worth more, maybe they're worth less. They're probably worth less than 4 damage. Maybe they're worth 3.5 damage. But even for a 1 mana card, 3.5 damage is good. Let's assume they're 3.5 damage. So that's 7 damage. So far it's 12 damage. Plus we have Risk Factor. That's another 4 damage. So we're at 16 damage already. So that's definitely a really good starting hand. We're on the draw. So on the draw, what I'm looking for with this hand is, my initial thought is what I want to do is go land, go. I want to untap with the shock in my hand and go shock his face and light up the stage. That's what my opening play is a turn 2 shock into light up the stage. I'm going to see that changes. He plays a mountain into a Get to Lava Runner, and I think I'm gonna pass. But so if he's on my deck, right? If he's on my deck, then he could go double Wizard Lightning into or Wizard Lightning shock or shock skewer, and then all of a sudden I find myself at 18 life. Or at 12 life, 13 life, facing a get to. It just, allowing him to untap with the get to just doesn't seem worth it for the double Wizard Lightning. So I decided to shock it. So that changes on my second play. It helps that I drew a Viashino Pyromancer. The Viashino, I decided to play the turn after, because it's going to allow me to attack and light up the stage on it. A lot of the time, you'll see me hold a Viashino if I don't have if I have my field in my hand. I'll be holding my Viashino for a Wizard Lightning, because a lot of the time, a lot of the decks in this format, they're going to be able to block a Viashino. So it's never going to do more than a 2 damage. So ultimately, the best thing a Viashino is going to do, it's going to be a shock to the face, and it's going to decrease the amount of mana that my Wizard Lightning costs. And that's so if you're running your Viashinos out too early and you find that you have Wizard Lightnings in your hand at 3 mana, you don't need to play the Viashino too early. You can wait later into the game, and also it helps you play around Movement of Craving. We're not going to play around Movement of Craving in this matchup, obviously. This is fairly easy. We jam out Electrostatic Field. Is this his second turn? He didn't play anything. He bolted my Viashino, which is just bad. So far, he's only showed cards that were in my list, right? He's in the burn list, so we don't know if he's on Steamkin. We don't know if he's on Chain Whirler. We have no clue at this point. So we're just trying to we're playing against the burn list. We need to maximize our damage, and ultimately the max maximum damage we're gonna get is electrostatic field, and both the lightning strikes just don't seem like reasonable plays right now. We need a land so we can lightning strike and light up the stage. It is what we're looking for. Um, I don't know what he ends up doing. He decides to 2-for-1 our electrostatic field, which is amazing. So like the 2-for-1 on the electrostatic field at this point, if he's playing the same list that I'm playing, there is basically zero chance that he can win this game. Because I have 3 mana, right? So I could play my risk factor. Like even if his hand is like double light up the stage risk factor, like the most possible draw that he can have, I have that and more in my hand. And I'm ahead on life total. I mean, it's turn 4 right now. Turn 3 since I was turn 4. Turn 4. It's turn 4. Now I'm two health ahead. But it's not two health ahead. I'm like solid 2 turns ahead right now. At least in these red matchups. I've established being very, very far ahead. The light up the stage is going to put me even farther ahead. Not hitting a land there kind of sucks. Being able to play a 1-drop with the land there is kind of nice because then you can light up the stage. Um, the runaway Steamkin is scary. I say a lot of the time to go face. I think if he has an out into this game, it's playing like a card into a card, removing the mana into frenzy, right? And that's like my ultimate out. I have a lightning strike. I'm just immediately gonna strike this, right? Like it's not even a question. It's his only way back into the game. So like why I don't like Steamkin. He plays it for 2 mana. It did nothing. He played 2 mana for a card. It did nothing to advance the board state. It he played another card into it. It gained another count. It did absolutely nothing. Like yeah, you're gonna enter Magic Fairyland every once in a while, but it's just not gonna happen often enough that you're that it's not gonna be worth it. Right? It's just not gonna happen often. So yeah, he's just so far behind at this point. I don't see him digging back in. I think the Firebrand is weird here because doesn't he Chain Whirler? Oh no, he doesn't Chain Whirler here. Now he Chain Whirlers. The Firebrand attack was bad. Yeah, because he ends up skewering that. He ends up skewering that. Right. He's spending another 3 damage that was meant to go at my face. Another 3 damage. He drew the Goblin Chain Whirler, right? So he doesn't attack with Firebrand. He plays the Goblin Chain Whirler, which he knows is a 4 of in his deck, and he's able to deal with my creature without exacerbating like more resources than he needs to. So far, I have a risk factor in my hand, a light up the stage, a Spear Spewer. He has a 1/1, and he has a Goblin Chain Whirler that he needs to play next turn. Otherwise, he can't play anything, which is just it's so absurdly far behind at this point that he basically all the cards in his deck are dead cards. And this is. He's out of the game. We'll speed this up because this is pretty straightforward. We're just getting damage through. I decided to play the Spear Spewer there. My idea with Spear Spewer, right, is that saying with the tree. Is the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. And for Spear Spewer, there is no better time to play Spear Spewer than the turn that you have it in your hand, because it's never going to deal more damage than the turn. Like if you play it later in the game, it's not going to deal more damage because you still need to. It has summoning sickness, right? And that's one of the real issues with Spear Spewer. But one of the good things about Spear Spewer in this matchup, right, which a lot of people don't really recognize, which we will see in my other red deck wins game, is that if they're attacking with their firebrand every turn, that's going to be dealing 1 damage to me, right? So if they're trying to attack through with their firebrand, and I'm blocking with my Spear Spewer, and I'm also pinging both of us with our Spear Spewer, I would have been losing the 1 damage every turn anyway. But I'm also dealing 1 damage to them. So I'm maintaining my tempo while also not losing any more than I would have from the beginning. Um, so that's just my logic with playing Spear Spewer in the mirror match. I understand that a lot of people don't like it. This is definitely right to kill my Spear Spewer here, but he's just so dead. It's crazy. Um, like maybe he has an out into this game, but he can't not allow me to draw the cards. And like for me to be 6 or 7 lands through my deck and to draw 3 cards and not get at least 5 damage of burn is very unreasonable. Just double block, before damage, ping him. It's very simple. I don't need to get that ping. I see he has 6 damage in my hand. He's not going to play any counter spells. He can't deal 12 damage with the cards. Very simple end of the game. Alright, so let's go through some other games. I like to include my losses. I think it might help some people somewhat with playing the deck. So this looks like a really good hand, right? It looks like a good hand. You have 2 creatures. You have a creature on turn 1. You have a creature on turn 2. You even have 2 creatures on turn 3. Like looks good, right? But that's not what this deck wants to do. You don't want to be playing creatures right now. You just want to be dealing as much damage as you can. If they have any sort of removal, any sort of board clears, you're just gonna be dead. If you're playing another creature-based deck, you have no chance if you keep on playing creatures, because your creatures aren't valuable unless they're being used to advance your burn spells. That is the only way the creatures are good in this deck. All right. So this is the pretty basic game. I have all creatures. He's playing better creatures, and like I don't think the mono green deck is better than the burn deck. It's simple. They're not good unless they go Steel Leaf on 2, Steel Leaf on 3. The green deck isn't gonna beat them. But like I draw all creatures. He has a 5/4 that I can't block, right? There is nothing I could do in this matchup. He's even playing Gigantosaur. That's a terrible card. But like I've gone through X number of cards, right? I have 5 creatures, 6 creature in my graveyard, 5 lands. I haven't seen a single spell yet. I can't win this game. I know he's at 12 health, right? He's at 12 health. I have 3 lands in play, 2 in hand, a card in my graveyard. I draw any more spells this game, right? I draw any more spells. All of a sudden, it turns into I seriously have a chance. Because he's at 11, he's now at 10 on my turn. I draw a burn spell. I put him down to 6, right? I didn't draw. I drew 1 spell this entire game. 1 spell this entire game. He's at 6 life. And the deck is only meant to cast spells, right? So the creature-based games, you're not going to win, especially against another creature-based deck. But this also shows that I had a terrible hand, one of the worst hands you could have other than flooding in one direction. I think creature flooding is another form of flooding, just in this specific deck. I had that sort of hand, and I was able to get him close enough within reason that, let's say I don't have 1 or 2 of these creatures, I may or may not have had the game. I have 1 less creature, 1 or 2 less lands, I have a shock, I have another bolt, I win, right? And it's as simple as that. If you draw these creature heavy hands, you're not gonna win with the deck. And maybe we should be more aggressively mulliganing this. I just don't think you can mull 3 landers in this deck. I think it was just unlucky, and I think a lot of games you just need to accept that you may or may not get lucky in it, right? So this also applies to getting greedy with hands. So they're the games where I'm a big advocate of shock. This is a quick one. I'm a big advocate of shock into light up the stage, or any one drop on the play into a turn 2 light up the stage. Shock. This is greed. This is 100% greed, and I realized that after I kept it. I think you can only make the 1 land keep with light up the stage if it's a creature and not a shock, because you're still depending on drawing the land with the shock. With a creature, you're not dependent on drawing the land, because you're gonna attack with the creature. You're gonna do light up the stage. You're gonna have 2 more draws. You're gonna play the land off that. When you're keeping the 1 land with the shock, shock isn't the card that you can 1 land. You see very deep in the game, all the way into the game, and like, I concede. You can see my hand is pretty absurd amount of burn spells. Absurd. I'm still at 1 land. I'm at 18 health. But he's at 4 lands in a mono blue deck with, I think, like 3 or 4 something cards in his graveyard. He's gonna start flipping these guys. He's keeping 3 lands open. He has counter spells in his hand. He has counter spells. He has tempo cards in blue. If I'm drawing 1 land, there's nothing I could do. It's okay to concede games. I wouldn't say concede games too early, right? I would say concede games like this example. Like, he's still 18 away, and he's only doing 2 a turn. It's 9. They're gonna get larger than 2 a turn, but I'm not gonna be able. You gotta assume that at least 2 of these cards that he has in his hand, because he's been sculpting his hand. At least 2 of the cards in his hand, he sculpted. At least 2 of them are going to be counter spells, right? So there's going to be another 2 turns of just me not doing anything, and these things are both flipped by that point. I'm not going to be able to dig my way back into this game from 20 health. So it's okay to concede 3 minutes into the game, just because you didn't hit your lands. Like, it's a normal thing that happens. It's not the worst thing. So let's find some games. So this is the first one I posted. This one I posted mainly because there's been a lot of comments about, like, red deck wins. It's just so much better than burn, and it just wins in that matchup because Chain Whirler is just better, and Spear Skewer is just bad because it deals damage to yourself. And why would you ever want to deal damage to yourself in another aggressive matchup? And that's just like what I said earlier. That's not always the case. You're not just dealing damage to yourself. It's a 0/2 body. It's not Goblin Fireslinger, right? Like, Goblin Fireslinger, that was in the same standard as Goblin Guide, right? And people didn't like Goblin Guide either because they're like, oh, it gives them value, yada yada. And I don't even think Patrick Sullivan. I can't remember. I don't think Patrick Sullivan was running Fireslingers. I think this being a 0/2 body, I think being able to block 1 damage at a time is really what puts. You're not losing any more health than you would be losing, if that makes sense. Because you're gonna be losing that health if you're playing Firebrands. You're gonna be losing that health if you're playing other cards. Also, if you're landing Spear Spewer in like 80% of other matchups on turn 1, you're just gonna win. Like, it's gonna deal 4 or 5 damage, and it's just absurd. If you know how to play Spear Spewer correctly, let me turn the sound off in this. If you know how to play Spear Spewer correctly, matchup, it's just gonna be so absurd. And this is gonna be one of those games where it's gonna look like I'm very far behind on damage. Because I'm gonna be behind. I think it's like 8 to 18 at some point or something like that, and I'm like spear skewering myself, and it just looks awkward. But it's putting myself in a situation so that I can win the game, and that's ultimately what you want to do. Is you want to put yourself in a situation that you can win the game. All right. So alrighty, we need to go back. So he plays Firebrand, attacks for 1. I'm at 19. Right, he's ahead in the race, unquestionably ahead in the race. Down 1. I get my turn 2. The only other play right now, lightning strike his face or lightning strike the Firebrand. Some people would lightning strike the Firebrand. I mean, the idea of, well, I'll stop 3 damage going to his face as long as 3 damage from the Firebrand isn't going to my face. I think Spear is probably the obvious play for most people at this point. But a lot of people are like, oh, you're going against red deck wins. I mean, he played Firebrand on turn 1. It could even be Burn. Spear aside. Alright, so let's see how it works out in this game. So he plays Viashino. And also, I want to add, he plays this terribly. Right? If he has open mana, I am less likely to block the Firebrand. He plays another Firebrand and pings it, then I'm desperate. He has a random shock. He has something else. I'm less likely to block it. I might have to block it because he has Spectacle in his hand, but because he plays Viashino onto first main phase, it means he just can't block with fire. He can't attack with Firebrand, period. Because I'll just block and no damage will get to it. So that's already a mistake. He should have put me in a spot where he attacks with Firebrand and I have to decide, do I want to block this in case he has something else in his hand. So that's already a mistake from him. I think maybe he could have won this game. I mean, ultimately, if we look at both sides of a red deck, one person will be able to find lines where one person could have beat the other person if both people have competent hands. And I think we both had competent hands. I think there were a bunch of misplays that this person made just from either being inexperienced or not understanding the archetypes properly and what we're ultimately trying to do. Alright. I shock face. I'm just gonna start getting damage now. If I want to be spewing myself, I need to make sure that I'm gonna be able to do damage. I think that what I actually do next is I spear and then light up the stage. I think. Why am I looking at that? I think. No, I can't do that. Yeah. I just passed, right? All right, yeah, that makes sense. I thought I might spear and then light up the stage, and then I'm like, why wouldn't I just spear first and then light up the stage? So yeah, I'm ultimately leaving the spear up. This is where I think the number one mistake of the game is, because I think this ultimately comes from the forums and people being like, oh, spear it's just suicide in red matchups. Like, we should just leave it because they're just ultimately killing themselves, right? He plays Goblin Chain Whirler. If he just pings his Firebrand into my spear right here, and then attacks for 2, I think I just lose the game, right? I don't think I could stop that. Instead, so I automatically ping. It was like, doesn't make a difference if he Firebrands. I'm not blocking the Firebrand. Then it's just terrible value. And if he pings it in response, it doesn't make a difference, right? And he decides to attack with both, which I think is wrong. I mean, clearly wrong. I ended up winning the game. Um, but he's going negative with the firebrand, right? It's net net even for me with me blocking his firebrands with the spear spewer and then ping it. It's net even, and he's taking damage. So what's better? If I'm going net even and dealing damage to him, or if he just kills my thing and he's attacking through with other stuff and I'm taking damage. That's just how I look at it. I think that was a huge mistake on his part. Here, here, um, I definitely the only play here, right? Um, I need to be getting across a lot of damage as possible. I need to be getting across the most damage as possible. And electrostatic field, what a lot of red deck wins players don't realize, and don't tell them this, right? Don't tell them this. Yeah, Goblin Chain Whirler, maybe first strike, right? This is first strike. That's terrifying. This is 0-4. This doesn't get through this, right? This and this is more mana. This is absolute trash. And then I go light up in this stage into electrostatic field. Because I know I'm gonna skewer the chain whirler. Though this is an amazing block, I get punished super hard by blocking here and then him firebranding here. Because I can't really deal with this, and then the Goblin Chain Whirler just takes over. So I need to try and establish as much damage as I can. I briefly think for a second about the Fanatic. Mainly, maybe I can block ping, right? But Fanatic's not good because then he could just ping, and then I'm forced to just ping, and then I don't get a block on something like Chain Whirler. I decide to skewer because I feel that I can start to stage a turnaround in this game, right? I have electrostatic field and I have risk factors. He can't be taking 5 damage from my um from my risk factors. It's just too much. And if he doesn't want to take 5 damage from my risk factors, he has to he just has to. Because if I just start drawing spells, it's going to be more than 5 damage. Because I already have electrostatic field in play. Um, this is pretty straightforward. Um, I think he gets sort of unlucky here, getting 2 more draw spells off of this. A shock could have really done me in here. Bolt could have done me in here. Eventually. I think there were a lot of times in this game where if he was playing this as smart as he should have been, right? Instead of just cause I know he just assumed that oh, Spear is dealing damage to both of us. It has to. That's 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 not the way it works. It really is not. This is a one drop that is just dealing consistently more damage, stopping more damage than most other spells do. Wizard Lightning is just bad here. It's Precision Bolt. Precision Bolt's not good. Um, Fanatic Firebrand. He's already showed that he just wants to attack with his Firebrands, and then maybe final turn ping me. I'm not sure if this is the correct way to use Firebrands. I think Firebrands. I don't like attacking with Firebrands that much. I like getting value out of them, whether it's shock Firebrand to me is I hope I get lucky against Shalai and get my Firebrand, and then I could ping the Shalai and then bolt the Shalai, and then I'm safe. But that's the extent of my Firebrand. I think if you're spending too much time attacking with it, I think it's more of a removal card, and I think it's an early game removal card. And you'll see how this affects him now. Is this is going to end up losing him the game. Um, I'm at 5 mana right here. I'm at 8 life. He has 2 cards in his hand. We don't know what those are. He has He has a bunch of draw cards. He can deal damage automatically to my face. He can draw off of this. Alright. I don't think he has any reason to take damage off risk factor here. I don't think drawing the 3 cards, for me, I think it punishes him more often than not. Right? Let's see if anyone's even watching. Sorry, I'm not actually watching my stream chat. I'm just trying to talk through this so I can link people to my VOD and show them me talking through my plays. I'm sorry if you're talking in the chat and I'm not getting to any of the things. I'm just trying to get through me talking through me playing these games. All right. So ultimately, like, we know he's playing his firebrands wrong. He's attacking with stuff. He might have even been able to have me dead. And this is why I don't like the red deck wins variant, right? Is you're using your burn spells to remove creatures in order to get more value off your creatures. And that to me doesn't feel good, because when people like me start playing more creatures like this, you're not getting the value that you would have gotten off of the burn spell, right? I'm in control of the trades. He's not going to get maximum amount of damage when I'm controlling the trades. He needs to force me into the worst possible trades. And the risk factor, him taking the damage here, I'm tapping out for this. He shouldn't. He should just give me the cards. I'm not going to be playing more stuff. I mean, maybe he does give me the cards and I get a shock off of it. No, he doesn't. He takes the 4 damage. All of a sudden, we're at the same health. And I have more reach than him. Look at this. We're at the same exact health. He was ahead the entire game. He just took 5 damage when he didn't need to. And now all of a sudden I'm ahead of him. I'm passing the turn back to him. The knowledge that we do know is he has 2 more draw spells in his hand and 5 mana. That's the knowledge that we do know. Right? And if he wants to attack with this stuff, I have Firebrand, ping. I have block, ping. I have block, deals no damage. Another thing that I could do, right? I have Firebrand, block, ping. I have 1 card that deals with 2 things. Unless he wants to Firebrand, right? He's put himself in these sorts of situations that he doesn't need to, just based off of how the red deck wins deck plays. This is why I don't like cards like Chain Whirler and Steam Can and Frenzy. It forces you into bad decisions off of it's just poor logic decisions to me. So we'll see what he does. I think he decides the risk factor. Yeah. Also, that's probably wrong, right? If he firebrands me, draw. Oh, that's a Banefire. What the fuck am I saying? Oh, so that's a Banefire. All right, so I was wrong. I can't see in my own res. So here's a Banefire. That would have been 4 damage. That's not really that good. Maybe 5 damage. So he could have put me down to 2. But then I can't use Spear Skewers for 2 bolts to get him for lethal. Well, for 1. Alright. So now we're playing this dangerous game. Which health total can he put me at? Alright. I decide that he's tapping 3 mana. He already played his land for turn off of here. Best possible thing he can have is double bolt, right? Double skewer is the best thing that can happen to him, and he won't even be able to play the double skewer unless he firebrands me, or double wizard lightning is the best thing he can have, right? And double Wizard Lightning can't kill me. There's zero chance that double Wizard Lightning kills me. So that's the best possible cards that he can have is double Wizard Lightning, and it can't kill me. So at this point, it's over for him. And he makes a play that just puts the nail in the coffin even more. Um, he plays two more creatures, both with haste, and he decides to attack all out, which is the worst. You could see how fast I go for blocks. I was like, are you serious? Like, he has four cards in his hand. One of these is a fucking burn spell. Like, there's 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 no way this is the best possible deck. It's so absurd that this is the play that he did. And I was just so quick to make the text. Like the blocks are obvious. Like you block the Firebrand, deals no damage, or you can even block the Pyromancer. Like it doesn't really make it there. I guess it does make it there. I like only taking one damage here. Uh, you can block here, and then either you could ping the other via Shino or you can ping their face. I like pinging their face for the extra reach, depending on how defensive you want to get. Double risk factor. There is a chance that I whiff. There is a chance that I just lose. It's just something that we gotta accept playing the matchup. Like you're gonna put yourself in situations you want to be playing towards your outs. Um, Playing towards your outs is what's going to win you your burn games more often than not. Um, for legacy, you have enough cards in your deck that you're going to have enough damage. For standard, you're playing electrostatic field and spear sphere. You got to play towards your outs, right? So I'm going to be able to put him down to 6, right? So my outs are a shock and a bolt, basically, or basically just 2 spells. He can't take damage here, obviously. He takes 4 more damage. I ping him. He's dead. He has to give me 2 cards. Do I win it with a shock? I don't win it with a shock. Any bolt wins it. Any bolt wins it. I think I get a bolt and a shock. Or light up the stage and bolt wins it as well. I think that was. I could have had worse draws off risk factor, but I also don't think that's my best draw off risk factor. I think that was definitely a very middling draw off the risk factor. I think it was very unlikely for me to lose that situation in the way I set myself up to play in for my outs. And that was a situation where there wasn't. I don't think there was a single turn. I played the Spear on 2, right? And we made it all the way up to turn 6. There wasn't a single turn where I didn't activate the Spear against another red deck. And it wasn't what caused, like, I didn't lose because of it. Because we're playing it in such a way that we're basically net positive in other matchups using the card. It's just my look on Skewer. I know a lot of other people don't have the same opinion on Spewer, and they see it in the red matchups and they don't play it properly. I think ultimately it comes down to not playing it properly. I mean, my favorite. Oh shit. Ultimately, my favorite card from red. Right. This is a famous 4 of in a lot of Patrick Sullivan's old legacy lists, right? And he was playing it at a time where legacy was more aggressive. Maybe it was more aggressive than it is now. I don't know. It's definitely a topic for contention. Um, every deck, most of the decks were aggro back then. Maybe they might not have been as fast, but they were aggro decks, right? So he's playing a card that deals damage to himself in an aggro meta, and so are we. But we accept that the rest of our cards in our list are just going to be that much more powerful. That we're going to be end up we're gonna end up being able to do more damage over the long term. And that doesn't matter. Like if we deal 19 damage to ourselves and we deal 20 to our opponent, we still end up winning. Like that's how simple Magic is. It's just so crazy. Um, this this is a game where one turn and me not bolting a creature made the entire difference in the game. Um, I mean, probably not. I probably just would have won it after like three top decks, but um, I think it made a difference. Obviously, this is a beautiful hand. Um, we have a turn one play. We have a skewer on turn one, um, followed by two electrostatic fields and a skewer, and we're gonna assume we're gonna draw a wizard at some point. It's a beautiful hand. Um, I'm never mulling this hand in a million years. Always move your mountains to your right side, because you know that's what shufflers do. Are you ready to skewer him? I think he has zero chance in this matchup. I see him play a green land, and I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Thanks for the free dub, guy. Um, so here's the play where I go. This is the real spot, right? This is the spot of the game. Do you lightning bolt whisper, right? Because if we've ever looked at the elf ball list before, the entire deck just runs off whisper, right? The whole deck is just whisper into creature, into creature, into creature, draw your whole deck, play more creatures, right? That's the entire deck. This is literally the main card of the list. This list wouldn't exist without this card, and it's at 3 health. Do we bolt it? And this is a thought. Like, do we just bolt it? And, like, I clearly put thought into this. I ultimately decide I'm still putting thought into it, even after skewering it. Like, it's doing the one mana thing best. So no, maybe we don't want to do it. Maybe we would just want to maximize our burn damage. Because like, what is Beast Whisperer doing? If he plays 3 creatures right now and draws 3 cards, what is he doing for the next 2 turns when I'm at 18 health and I'm playing a bunch of burn cards? He has no way to interact with the burn cards in my hand. He has no way to interact with any of this damage. So this is already, we have 2 fields in play and Spear Spewer, right? So ignore the Spear Spewer. Just these 3 cards, that's 15 damage. That's 15 damage in what I believe not enough time for the Elf Ball deck to get their combo going. So that's why I originally Spear Spewered because I thought that I was gonna skewer Gitu, like skewer the Beast Whisperer and then play Gitu and attack, and maybe I would have done that and I still would have won the game. But I decided not to. He goes another Beast Whisper, another 2/3, draw 1 card, does nothing. We're burned. It makes no difference to us. Ever. It makes no difference. Here, it's like, oh, I'll put you down to 8 health. No. I'll end of turn you down to 8 health. And then put you down to 7, and then win on my turn. And then he goes another Beast Whisper. And that 3 damage, I mean, we probably would have won anyway, right? We probably would have won at some point. See, this is going to put me at exact lethal on my turn without playing my 4th land. It's going to put me on exact lethal, right? So I'm at exact lethal now. Exact lethal on turn 4 without playing my 4th land. Or, I don't know if it's turn 4. Maybe it's even turn 5. Did I go first? I don't know. It doesn't make a difference. But the fact is that he's at 5 health, and me playing the field there, instead of bolting his Beast Whisperer, which is the card that his deck is built around, is ultimately what won me the game. That one bolt at the beginning of the game is what won the game. Because you see, he has 7 cards in his hand. He still would have had 2 Beast Whisperers. This turn after the turn that I would have won, he goes off. He plays his whole board. I can't do anything about it. I'm short on damage, and that's why, and like I understand why people get upset about like, oh, just bolt the face, right? It's like it's just one thing. It's like, oh, we're just going face, but like the logic there is not that easy, right? Like they're playing Elf Ball. They played the one card that Elf Ball literally runs off of. If they don't have Beast Whisper, the deck doesn't exist, right? Um, and we decide not to go for it. And that's not the decision that everyone would make, and that would have cost lethal on that specific turn. And who would have known? Who knows what the next 7 cards he has in his hand? And every single card that is in his hand also draws him 3 more cards. All right, and it would have drawn him 2 more cards had I not bolt that. And if I bolt that, then I have to bolt the next one, and I have to bolt the next one. And then all of a sudden I have no cards in my hand. He's at 8 life. He still has an entire grip full of cards. So that's the difference that those early turn decisions make. Um, I think this is a very important game. Though people were like, "Oh, you just played cards and went face." It's not as simple as that. There was a huge decision on turn 3. I don't have lethal on turn 4. It's a huge decision on turn 3. Do I want to stop the combo card in this combo deck? That's the ultimate decision. And like you see, I almost go for it. I almost go for it. Like it makes a huge difference. Um, and the last card in my hand makes exactly lethal the turn that I have it. Whether or not that's good play or bad play, I think that's the correct play. Um, some people just don't like getting burned to the face. That was the This is why we go face game. So let's find another game. I think this was just a game that I wanted to post because a lot of people were, yeah, it's not the easiest to understand that this deck can win on turn 4. People were like, oh, even Goldfish this deck, it doesn't win on turn 4. I think this is just a proof of concept. Yes, it can. I did get lucky. I think I drew a light up the stage here. Yeah, it's kind of absurd. Light up the stage on turn 2. I think it's the best play in the deck. Maybe playing Electrostatic Field's the best play, but this is just absurd. 3 lightning bolts, 2 shocks. You can't go wrong. So I don't even need the Electrostatic Field to win. Drawing the land makes the Electrostatic Field obvious. I mean, I could ping, shock. Doesn't matter what the order is. It's turn 4. And then he goes, yo, I'll draw 2. Yo, it's an aggressive meta. I'll draw 2 before Chemister's Insight. And I'll be like, yo, you're at 16 on turn 3. GG, buddy. Alright. So, alright. That was the turn 4 win. Another red deck wins game, which is a matchup that people were like, oh, Burn never beats red deck wins. Burn never beats it. They have Chain Whirlers. Chain Whirlers beat Viashinos. Chain Whirlers do beat Viashinos. I don't disagree with that. I don't. Viashino sucks. Viashino's literally just an activation for Wizard Lightning late in the game. Maybe against control decks it's going to get in some tax. I think this is a smart play. I think he's played the matchup enough. You want to shock the 0-2. It's going to deal more than 2 damage to you. And this is obvious Viashino. I'm not really going to get an opportunity to do more damage than I get right now. It was very standard. Steamkin. I don't bolt this, right? I just attack. I'm not really threatened by the Steamkin right now. It's not a threat to me. I just need to he's not going to buff it up to 4 this turn unless he has just like a nut hand. If he has a nut hand, then he has a nut hand, and he can get the best value out of it. But he's not going to buff it up to 4. He's not going to do like an absurd amount of damage with me. He's not going to combo off with it. Like it's not like the Jeff Hoogland thing. Like I think that's probably wrong too. I think you want to be ball to my face, but also I don't play that list because it's just not good. Well, it is. It is good. It is a good list. Um, this this quickly turns into like he has 3 cards in his hand. I have 3 creatures. I have 1 card in my hand. We're pretty even. This is just going to turn into a creature. Like we're pretty even on health. I'm passing back to him. He might even be slightly ahead here. Let's see. Yeah, he's drawing a card. He's 2 health down. Card might be worth more than 2 health. Card might be worth. I think we're exactly even at this point in the game because I'm passing back to him on the turn. I think we're even because the card's probably worth like 2 health in this deck. So we're like exactly even. So this is going to turn into a grind of who's top decking better, who has the better card in their hand. Ultimately, I need to get another spell so I can activate my Gitu. Otherwise, my 1-2 Gitus aren't going to be winning the game. He decides to skewer. I can't argue with that play. If I don't have something else, if this is a land and I don't have another creature, this Gitu is not going to get done. I draw my 4th Gitu. That's crazy. I don't even like Gitu. Sometimes you just get all your creatures. What does he do? He bolts? Does he bolt my face? He bolts my face. He's like, oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to do this bolt plan. Oh, actually, he needs to activate his light up the stage so he can get cards. He can attack with his Gitu. Otherwise, it's a clear double block. I get a trade, 1-for-1 trade. I don't draw another spell. It doesn't activate my Gitu. He can't attack again. Double block? Why do I not double block? Because then I lose something and I'm pretty good with the bolt. I don't know why I don't double block. Actually, no, I know why I don't double block. Because if he just has this fucking shock, then I just lose. That's why I don't double block. I lose the shock. Alright. He plays Viashina. I'm at 8. He's at 12. He's ahead. I need a spell. I get the nut spell. Something that destroys his creature. I get 3 on the most damage. He probably should concede. What does he draw? What does he draw? Another land? No, another land. Another bolt. But it doesn't make a difference because I've light up the stage. It's over for him. It's just those small turns right here. It's just awkward. This is why I don't like. I think Steamkin is ultimately the card that loses him the game. Right? If that Steamkin is field, right? Then he just wins. Right? What health am I at? 8. He can maybe I win. Maybe it's better. I just don't like Steamkin. I don't think it's a burn card. I think you're at the whim of your opponent, and I think that like if you look at the 5-0 lists, if you look at these 5-0 lists, which ultimately the burn list is gonna end up as a standard list, I think it's a best of 3 list. I think it could be played as best of 3. Like if you look at these lists, like any creature-based list, your Steamkin's not getting through on that. Your Steamkin's not getting through on this. Your Steamkin's not getting through on this. Like, it's Steamkin doesn't work versus any matchup unless they just happen to not have their answer for Steamkin. And I don't think that's a reason to play Steamkin. It's basically 2 mana, draw a removal spell. And 2 mana for a 1-for-1 is not good in red. Or at least not good in the way that I want to play red. And that's just how I see it. Um, see this mono green game. This is how does this game go? Is this a loss? This is already solid hand. Solid hand. My opponent goes first, so it's slightly worse, but I still have the one drop into a turn two light up the stage. And I think I draw a one drop as well, so that makes this hand a lot better. Having having a one drop is so huge for this deck, but if you're playing too many one drops, it's weak. Oh, actually, this game is very close. There are a lot of decisions that need to be made in this game, whether or not I destroy certain creatures in order to maintain amounts of damage. I think he plays a Miraclefolk Branchwalker, obviously. He buffs that, and he attacks, and I can't block. You can never block there. It's just game over at that point. And I need to decide, do I want to destroy Pelt Collector? If I destroy Pelt Collector, and then I Spear Spewer, and then draw off light up the stage, is that going to be good? I'm already at 18. I'll put myself down to 17. He's going to hit me down to 3 to 14. If he plays a Steel Leaf, that's a 3-turn clock. I can't deal with a 3-turn clock. I don't have a 3-turn clock in my hand right now. Alright. So I decide I can't deal with a 3-turn clock. I need to get rid of the Pelt Collector. But I light up the stage first, because ultimately I'm going to light up the stage after I shock. It's better to draw first. Always. Simple. Simple. Draw first. The simplest of lessons in Magic. This is bad. I'm at 3 lands. Unless I get 2. There's no way I play both of these. Sad days. Most of the time it's going to be draw 2. Sometimes it's not draw 2. Sad days. Now he plays a lot of Adventurous Impulses. I think that's wrong. I don't think Adventurous Impulse is the right card. Steel Leaf. It's a good thing he doesn't have a land into Steel Leaf, because I'd actually be in a world of shit if he went land into Steel Leaf. I don't have a real answer other than using 2 burn spells on it. So now I'm forced to light up the stage, and I get lucky. I get a Gitu Lava Runner, and I can activate my Wizard Lightning. But I don't, because that's how smart I am. I could have Wizard Lightning here. That was such a bad play. See, that was a misplay. This was a misplay that I didn't get punished for. I personally think the play is to either Wizard Lightning his face, Wizard Lightning the coil. I think not playing the Wizard Lightning his ways. You see me go over it, and it was a mistake. It was a mistake, and it could have cost me the game. He's a lot of damage. I can't block it. See, I'm on a 2-turn fucking clock, right? 2-turn clock with Steel Leaf. He's at 16 on a 2-turn clock. What can I do? What can I do? Fucking YOLO, man. Fucking YOLO. Do I win this game? I think I lose it. This looks like a loss. I'm attacking into Steel Leaf Stompies. If I win this game, I'll be surprised. No, that's a smart play. That's a smart play. I'm going to take that back. Alright. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm doing. I'm attacking both in, knowing that I'm going to deal at least 1 damage, and that he's going to block. This is what I like to call an oops attack, right? It's an attack that seems weird, right? This is an attack where if he doesn't block, I think he just wins. If he doesn't block, so this is what I call an oops attack. I do a purposely bad attack. I don't keep emotes on, so I can't emote to them. Oops. Personally, I think emotes tilt me. Like if someone starts spamming well played after the player revitalize against me, I'll just punch my computer screen. So this is an oops attack. I'm attacking into this way, knowing that I'm gonna get value if he decides to make the wrong play. And luckily, he's a mono green player, so he's obviously gonna make the wrong play. Um, so I kill that thing, and he's still ahead on the race. I have more cards in my hand. Adventurous Impulse again. I don't think he really finds anything. Jade Light. Again, I'm still behind, and I don't have that much damage in my hand. I have no damage in my hand. I have 4 damage in my hand, and Spear Spewer, which is going to be needed to use as a chump. Does he attack here? Yeah, he has to attack here. I don't block. I go down to 7. I think this is a saving grace right here. Electrostatic Field versus Mono Green. He's playing a bunch of 3/3s. That's a terrible block right here. Terrible block. Why does he need... I have 2 cards in my hand. I have 2 cards in my hand. He's at 14. What is the most damage I can deal while tapped out? 2. Just get to. That's fucking it, right? And then you start attacking with both, and I'd have to start chomping stuff, right? This is just such a terrible block, and then I just block this for days. So then he's just in straight top deck mode. We know what the top card of his deck is. We know this is nothing. Maybe it's a Carnage Tyrant, right? Maybe it's a Carnage Tyrant. But we know his next card's nothing, right? Like, and he's not gonna draw anything. So like this is just such a terrible, terrible block. This isn't even like an oops attack. This is like me giving myself the opportunity to win the game. Right? I need him to make a bad play so I have an opportunity to win the game. And I'd understand if you don't think that that's the best way to play Magic. Like, I need my opponent to play bad so I can win. It's not really I need my opponent to play bad. Is I'm gonna force my opponent to play bad so that I do win. Here I have both my spewers untapped, so that's 4 damage automatically if I don't block with them. So all I need is a bolt to win. I could double block. There's nothing that he could draw that would kill me except for like some big trample guy. Oh look, there's a Galta. Alright, I need a shock to win. Any shock wins it. Any spell I have in the deck wins the game. I need to block, though. Yeah, there's no not blocking with the Viashino here is just wrong. It's as simple as that. You need to block with the Viashino here, because ultimately I'm trying to deal 4 damage to myself with the Spear Spewer. I need to deal 4 damage to myself, at least 4 damage to myself with the Spear Spewer to win. So if I take 3 damage, there's just no way I win. At best case scenario, it's like a draw. So I have to block Viashino. We're in top deck mode. I set myself up in a situation. I'm playing towards my outs. I put myself in a situation where I can win this game. I have overkill. But ultimately, it's I put myself in a situation to win the game, but I also put my opponent in a situation where they can misplay. And this just comes from experience, somewhat getting lucky in terms of your opponent. So we've looked at those 5. White Weenie. The reason we go face, we looked at that one. That was the green one. Alright, White Weenie. And then Sultai Control, and that might be the last one, depending on how long this has gone. I doubt anyone's been watching me. Maybe I have 1,000 viewers, but probably not. Watching me. Maybe I have 1,000 viewers, but probably not. Alright, so let's go through Burn. This is, once again, beautiful opening hand. What can you complain about being on the play with a firebrand with a light up the stage and 2 lands. If you complain about this hand, this deck is not for you. It's simple. 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 Quick maths. Alright, let's get this game going. And this is let's get 1.5 speed. Alright, quick. We play fast anyway. We're fast players. We don't like to think about our decisions. We just like to do them and hope we're not wrong. Alright, what do I do here? I think I like to offer up the attack, right? If I'm gonna ping it, if I'm gonna ping something anyway, like if I'm thinking of pinging something, right, and I don't mind that I'm gonna get damage to, I'm just gonna offer up the attack. Worst case scenario, is he blocks and I either Viashino and then try and attack next turn, but I think that's bad against mono white because there's going to be a lot of 1/1s that he can play. I think not blocking here is definitely wrong, especially knowing what we find out later, that he is playing that fucking 1/1 shit lifelink bird. This is quick lightning. He just terribly played that, and the next turn's obvious Viashino. But like we now know, like he plays the bird, right? That's the next thing he plays. Yeah, he had Healer's Hawk in his hand, and he decides not to block my Firebrand. So again, maybe it's just I'm getting lucky with my opponents, but it's just putting them in a position for them to misplay. And that was an obvious misplay. There's no reason for you to keep a 2/1 alive when you have a 1/1 lifelink in your hand versus a mono red deck. There's literally zero reason. So it's just an obvious misplay. If he has buffs in his hand, it looks like an even worse misplay. He's getting desperate. He's playing the Danto Vanguard version, not the life gain version that found its way around. So it's just dead. I'm gonna offer the attack into Danto. Danto's just like, if you want to block with a 1/1 that you played 2/4, fine. If you want to pay the life, even better, right? Like that's just, it's as simple as that. I have 6 in my hand. See, I think I hold off on that. No, I don't hold off on that. I go face. Because if he attacks here, if he attacks with his 2/1, I just shock his 2/2, and then I attack for 2, and I don't lose any damage. And he should never be attacking, especially when he's at 8. He misplays again. I mean, maybe this VOD should just be called me taking advantage of people misplaying. I draw Spear, basically nothing he could do at this point while I'm at 14 life. He needs to just get absurdly lucky. I don't think he's going to. It's obviously not a block. It's obviously not a shock on the Banalish, not a shock on the creature. Look, and don't be afraid to just like not cast the spell and just pass the turn back. It's not the end of the world to do that. He plays the second Banalish Marshal, right? He's attacking for lethal. I have to double block, right? I have no option but to double block. If he happens to have Pride of Conquerors or whatever that fucking annoying ass shit card is played, like if he happens to have Pride of Conquerors, I just have I have no outs. I have 0 outs if he has Pride of Conquerors. So I have to double block and I have to ping and I have to hope that I get like a shock or something of the likes. So it's the closest. Put myself down to 6. Preferably, I would have liked to not have to block with the 0/2 and have the extra ping, but it doesn't make a difference. If I don't block with the 0/2 against the 6 damage, I'm dead. Play towards my outs. We get risk factor. Very unlikely I don't get it. Simple. It's burn. Most of my cards deal damage. Most of my cards deal damage. And this also came down to whatever this play was. Like, I don't understand this play for a million years. And, like, I guess he had the Banalish Marshals in hand. And that's what he was looking at, is the Banalish Marshals. Is these Banalish Marshals are going to turn my 1-1 into a 2-2. But, like, I don't get it. I don't know what he was seeing. Um, I think if the white decks start playing more of the lifelink cards, I think if they would start playing the Pridemate version, I think Esper and Sultai and all of those lists just take a squat on it. Honestly, I think they need a Danto. I don't think if you're playing Burn as mono white that you have to take 4 damage if they shock it. Though, like, every Adanto player decides, like, oh, I'm gonna take 4 damage to a shock, and I was like, yeah, that wasn't a good play. You just turned my shock into a Flame Rift or whatever you turned it into. It's just not good. Um, so just don't assume that your opponent is playing right, because most of the time, and this is including when you're playing top players, most of the time players are making mistakes. Um, and I see a lot of the time players getting upset about variance. Um, and I think there's areas to recognize when you're losing to variance versus when you're misplaying. Um, I think a lot of players miss on the idea of that. They go, oh, my opponent got so lucky, or oh, my opponent is playing a brain dead deck, and that's just not the case. You're either misplaying or you're getting outplayed a lot of the time with these competitive decks. I mean, obviously, I show 2 games where I just have like no chance in the game. One of them, I get absurdly unlucky. I draw all creatures in a burn deck, which is just not what you want. And another one, I keep a greedy hand and I get punished for it. But like, that's that's just what you get for, like, it's just normally gonna happen. Especially when you're playing large amounts of games. Like, that's Magic Arena has given people, like, even compared to Magic Online, people are playing games just so much faster than when they're playing live. So they're just seeing a whole lot of hands. They're seeing a whole lot of hands filled with lands, a whole lot of no land hands, just because they're playing a lot more games. Like, when you go to a local game store and you play in an F&M, you're gonna shuffle up for 10 games, like 5 matches at most, right? Maybe 13 games, 14 games, right? So you're playing that many games. You're playing 14 games for like a mono red deck like this. You can play 14 games in under 2 hours. If you're really grinding it out, you can play 14 games in under 2 hours, right? So if you're playing for, let's say, 20 hours in a week, which is it's a solid amount. You're playing 20 hours in a week. You're seeing an absurd amount of games. You're gonna see variance that you haven't experienced in live Magic. Like, it's the equivalent of playing months of Magic within several hours, right? And 1 month of Magic, you might be, oh, I'm playing so well, right? And another month, you might be struggling. Um, and that's just something that you have to deal with. That's why I love this mono red deck. So, someone who's played poker in the past, is it has a positive win rate. It's 55, 56%, but it plays its games in 4 minutes. See this? You can have a game in under a minute, 2 minutes, right? I'm playing these games super fast. Like, I can lose these games, right, and just concede before they're even over, and accept that I'm gonna play X more number of games that is going to be more than the other people are able to play in that period of time. And just because of that, I'm gonna have more success on ladder. Even if their win rate is slightly higher, it doesn't matter because it still takes an absurd amount of volume to climb the ladder. Okay, so I think this might be one of the last games. Um, I think the wizard game is sort of a throwaway. I don't think wizards is a legitimate deck. Um, this is a keep. This could potentially be disastrous, right? They remove my lava runner. You see, it's against Salt Eye control, right? We don't know this prior to keeping the hand. If we know it's against Salt Eye control, maybe it's a mulligan. A lot of them are playing Moment of Cravings. Moment of Cravings on the draw, like while I'm on the draw, Moment of Cravings. If I get Moment of Cravings, could just lose on the spot, um, depending on the hand. We don't know what the matchup is, so this is a relatively reasonable keep. We have the light up the stage on turn two. Um, he goes Llanowar Elf. I personally don't like bolting a Llanowar Elf or shocking a Llanowar Elf on the first turn. Anyway, he breeding pooled us, so thanks for the shock, buddy. Um, and he didn't follow up the Llanowar Elf with a 3 drop, which after shocking it out, I guess he's on the play. He doesn't know I'm on burn, but if you know that the meta is like 55% burn, playing the breeding pool untapped into no turn 3 is probably just wrong. Like, it's probably just wrong. Um, Someone else might tell me otherwise. I got unlucky. Look at that. No lands. No lands. This could go disastrous. He plays Seeker Squire, and the second he plays Seeker Squire in Sultai, you have to know he is playing Wild Growth Walker. He is playing Wild Growth Walker. And this is a reason why we as red decks should not worry about Wild Growth Walker. It is a 4 of in a list, right? I don't think a 4 of is ever something to worry about. They're not going to get it a fair amount of their games, especially if you're playing enough games against them. The majority of the games, they're not going to have it. And the games that they do have it, you have these nice things called lightning bolts that you can respond to the first explore creature that they play, and you can kill the wild growth walker without them gaining health. Um, but it's a good thing to know that they do have wild growth walker, and that is something that they like to look to do on turn 4. Um, I think more experienced players will play Wild Growth on turn 4 or 5, knowing that on turn 2 it's likely just a Dragon Bolt. Because as a burn player, you have to bolt the Wild Growth Walker unless it's really late in the game and you have electrostatic fields. Um, I decide to get to Lavamancer. Another play would be to maybe shock the 2/3 and attack the get to in it, and 2 for 1 into a 2/3 Squire, or but I mean 2 for 1ing a Squire that he played on turn 3 just always seems bad, right? Like it's never reasonable. It's never reasonable. So I'm on 1 land. He's on 4 with a Llanowar Elf. He's at 17 life. I say no contest with Solte. Do I lose this game? Because this is. I draw a land. Now I never lose. We get a second land. It's over. He can't attack through. Solte can't attack through Electrostatic Field. Yeah, he needs Vraska's Contempt there. I think Vraska's Contempt would have been the backbreaker. I think since he didn't have Vraska's Contempt, it allowed me to make more reasonable plays. I shock face so I can light up the stage and play another land. I get the other land. And I decided to play another Get to Lava Runner, which is odd. I mean, maybe I want to bolt the 2/3 now that he hasn't played anything. I think I'm more comfortable bolting the 2/3 now that I have 3 creatures that are able to attack. So like this is one of those tempo situations where we've already seen that he put a find and finality into his graveyard, so he's really digging for cards. Um, Maybe he would have might have played a find and finality. I think he would have played a find and finality the turn prior. Um, because this 2/3 is still able to turn into a 4/5. I think that's ultimately what you want. I don't think keeping these 1/1s up for Cradnoid is really what you want to do. So I Viashino, get my activation, keep Vraska Contempts, it's reasonable. He double blocks, which is also reasonable if he wants to play towards his outs, right? Because he now just wants the board clear. Um, he now has me on a 3-turn clock. He has me on a 3-turn clock. He either didn't draw well or just misused resources, right? This is just sometimes what happens, right? He kept the full 7-carder, right? Yeah, he kept the full 7 cards. So this is like sometimes what happens with the Wild Growth Walker deck. It's like you don't always hit Wild Growth into Jade Light Ranger into Vivian. Like it doesn't always go like that. When you assume that decks are gonna function in a certain way consistently, you're gonna start losing your own win rate when you assume that oh, this deck is playing this way, I'm gonna lose that. You're just gonna be you're gonna be sacrificing win rates to stuff like a 4 up in a deck, which doesn't make sense. You shouldn't be worrying too much about a 4 up in a list that beats you. The risk factor here, he has no answer to it. I hate that I don't draw anything. They're both wizards, might as well get 2 damage across. Um, there's the Wild Growth Walker, but like he's in top deck mode. But like if he has any ways back into this game, it's through Wild Growth Walker. So get rid of it before it's an issue. He draws a land. He's not attacking even though he has a 3-turn clock. He's not attacking on a 3-turn clock. That's just game over for Burn. It doesn't matter how he plays. If he's not attacking, he's not going to win. It's as simple as that. I don't know what he thought his outs were. It's beautiful that he drew a Merfolk Branchwalker. I think ultimately I didn't need to even if he was at 9 health from the Merfolk Branchwalker, the 9 health would have made no difference this game. It would have made the Wild Growth Walker would have made 0 difference. Alright, in the last game I uploaded, it was just me on 2 lands versus some jank wizard looking list, right? Yeah, this is just jank wizards. It's get rid of the goblin electromancer before it becomes an issue. It's just this is very simple. It also helps to draw fucking 9 damage of bolts. Really does. I promise you. If you draw 9 damage of bolts and you have 2 spear skewers in play and they're at 11, you're gonna have a good game. Right? Alright. I'm gonna go on Twitch. I'm gonna see if anyone's actually in my channel. If anyone wants to ask questions, I'll be willing to answer them.
And then this is where they're kind of hanging out and resting, but everybody's kind of like
me
doing
talking through
like
my
sponsored
videos
stuff.
that I put on YouTube
And
is
then
somewhat helpful to you playing the deck.
Um,
I like to see the bots in my stream, Commander Root, Host Giveaway, Positivity bots. I like to see the bots in my stream, Commander Root, Host Giveaway, Positivity bots. I like to thank you guys for being around. Do any of you guys have any questions? I mean, either the robots or maybe the real players. Do you guys have any questions? Either the robots or maybe the real players. Do you guys have any questions? No questions? Alright. Oh, thank you very much for watching this VOD replay. I will upload this on YouTube for people who want to see me discuss my logic with playing through each of these decks. I hope hope this helped. I keep on hearing my voice through feedback, and it's kind of annoying me. So I'm gonna shut off the stream now. Thank you. Thank you for all the support you've given on the article, and thank you for playing this amazing list. I think it's really amazing.